best of high-end.
Experience the beauty of audio and video.
It's a little bit out of my league because a multi-channel processor nowadays is such a complicated product. But baseline is that it has all the latest functionality in video, all the latest sound formats. It has 16 individual channels. And of course, from every one of our multi-channel processors in the Steinway systems, we can control any number of speakers, or 256 individual speakers. All of that remains the same from the earlier processors. So the P300 is just an update of everything, so to handle the latest video formats, the latest audio formats. In the processors we have, of course, Room Perfect. But that's really not all. We also have a very sophisticated bass management technology. We call it psychoacoustic bass steering. So in a setup with more than 2 channels, we are typically using a subwoofer left, subwoofer right, or what we call woofers, and the mid-high system. Now we're talking about home theater, really powerful home theaters. You can use the Model B, of course, for left and right. But typically we combine a woofer and a mid-high speaker for the left, woofer mid-high for the right, and that becomes then our full range speaker system. Then for the center channel speaker, we absolutely do not want to reproduce anything below 200 Hertz from that position where you have your center channel speaker. The reason is that if you put a full range speaker in where the center channel goes, maybe you can correct for the frequency response, but the impulse response is going to be vastly different than it is for your left and right speaker. So what is missing in the low frequencies from the center channel speaker is reproduced by the left and right speaker. And then it's time aligned, and we do Room Perfect on it. So that when the center channel speaker plays music or whatever, we have a separate woofer low frequency input going to the left and right speaker, aligned for the center channel speaker. We do the same for the surround speakers. So actually in a let's say 11.2 system, we have several layers of low frequency information going to the left and right speaker to coincide with the low frequencies that should have come from the other speakers. It's a very complex setup, but it works exceedingly well. So even with a tiny little speaker left and right, and for the surround and for the ceiling and so on, it will sound like every speaker is a full range speaker. And it will sound actually a lot more uniform in the sound than if you have full range speakers everywhere. We do not want to have full range speakers everywhere. So that is one of the reasons that our multi-channel system sounds so superior. Also, of course, Room Perfect, fully digital amp, and so on. One of the issues you have with a multi-channel system is you have so many things you need to do. You need to have level adjustment, you need to have room correction, you need to have tuning capability, you need to have crossovers, you need to have level controls for the surrounds and so on. And very often you run out of headroom. Maybe you have 24 bits to start with, but you need to do so much you end up with less than 16 bits or too little. Then you may have digital attenuation. And all of a sudden, when you play at normal playback levels, you have very poor digital resolution. So what we do in Steinway systems, of course, first of all, we distribute the sound digitally in our own Cat5 cable, where we run high definition audio, and we run all the control signals to the power amps from the processor. So when we turn up and down the sound, it is still the power supplies of the individual amplifiers, D2A converters, that are adjusting the volume, not in the preamp. So the net effect is that our multi-channel system is so free of noise, buzz and hum that we have a guarantee to all Steinway customers. If there's any hum, audible hum, from anywhere in the system once it's installed, they do not need to pay for the system. And that's regardless of how many meters of cable that goes to the different DA converters and so on. And I often do the demo that we play as loud as people can tolerate, and then I add another 20 dB of gain, and then I ask people to listen for any hum or buzz or anything noise from the woofers, and there is nothing. And you can actually put a stethoscope on the woofers, and there's no noise. That's how perfect the system is. That's how noise-free it is. And if you take virtually any other multi-channel system, you have a little bit of hum, you have a little bit of this and that is not supposed to be there. And once you have a little bit of hum, you cannot reproduce a piano. It doesn't sound like a piano. Sorry, it doesn't sound like a piano, because the piano is modulated by that hum. So there are so many things to take care of in a multi-channel system, but because we are fully digital, and because my engineers are so damn dedicated to good sound, it is really, it's also a little bit of a provocation to make a Model B speaker system and use a multi-channel system as standard, as a preamplifier. But it is that good, there is no compromise to our best stereo.
Best of high-end.
Experience the beauty of audio and video
Sign up for free
at bestofhighend.com.